What do you think about the current state of helmet versus non-helmet?
I mean, I feel like I get this a lot. People look at me as the helmet police when really I don't ever say a word about it. I'm always just like, you do you. Like, that's your decision. You decide every day to put your seatbelt on or not. It's kind of the same thing. But yeah, I mean, helmet or non-helmet, that is your personal decision. You get all the education, you know what could happen before or after. But for me, I'm just like, know what to do after, just in case. And that's your freedom to decide.
Yeah. Interesting. There's, I wonder if they're going to become mandatory in the future.
I don't know. My favorite thing, obviously just internet trolls, if anybody who brings up anything helmets and you go into the comment section, it is just absolutely violent in there with words. Like people are, it's like they're nagging on people for not wearing helmets and vice versa. But yeah, I remember, I think one resort in Utah actually made helmets mandatory. It's up in Sundance Canyon, I think. I don't even know if that's a canyon, in Provo. But they, made helmets mandatory and people were up in arms about it. So I don't know if that's the full move, but I think just, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting conversation I had recently with a friend of mine who owns a lodge. We'll just keep it vague, but there was a guest there that had a really bad crash, really severe, and was wearing a helmet. And luckily, it potentially could have saved his life. And he called me and he's like, "What do you think if I was to make it mandatory at this lodge?" And I was like, I've always believed it's the rider's choice. I think you're going to have a hard time with some, but it's also your choice as a person. So it's just it's a touchy subject.
Oh, it is so touchy. People are so passionate about it. And obviously I love having the conversation where I'm like, devil's advocate, let me hear both sides. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is the right move or the wrong move, or if there is one. But yeah, I just believe in, of course everybody's going to want me to say, yeah, make it mandatory. But I don't know if that is the correct move.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ski resorts in Europe. The parks are, like the parks, for example, also Whistler, they're mandatory helmets to ride the park.
Yeah.
Like we had team shoots at when we'd film movies, and we do it at a place called Kleppen, which is a snowboard park. And there it's mandatory to wear a helmet. Mm-hmm. And I'd have a team shoot, and I'd invite the guys like, yeah, we're doing a spring team shoot. Come on. P.S. You have to wear a helmet. And then there'd be like at least 8 of the team dudes like, man, fuck this. This is bullshit. You can't tell us what to do. But they end up putting the helmet on, and it's fine. Yeah. The footage turns out cool. It's all good.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that is the change that needs to happen. You know what I mean? Like, to break the stigma of all of this, and it could be mandatory helmets, or even when athletes are shooting at a resort and put on the helmet, and everybody's just like, no. But I don't know. I mean, I would like that for the future, just to protect people. But yeah, at the end of the day, will people not love that because there's no freedom of choice?
Mm-hmm. We got a great Instagram question that pertains to this. This is from Catfish again. Chaz asks, should snowboarders prioritize mouth guards over helmets if they're worried about concussions?
Wow. Oh, he's on it with the questions. Good job, Chaz. Yeah, I mean, when I had my brain surgery, my dad called the brain surgeon and said, will she be able to snowboard again? What do we got to do? And he said, make sure she wears a mouth guard over a helmet, because that's going to, I mean, you think about football and hockey, like that really does help with impact. So he kind of said that for me as well. But helmets, the more the merrier for protection, obviously, like if you want to mitigate the risk of it happening. But yeah, everything out there, it's hard to find the science though on the mouth guards. I've been diving into it and having those conversations, but the science isn't as, the research isn't out there as much as I have found. But that's what my surgeon said, and now I wear a mouth guard.
I feel like the mouth guard really helps with when you land on your ass, and it like jolts through your whole torso and up to your noggin. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also knee to the face.
Yeah.
Knee to the face, yeah. I noticed a big difference. I've hit my head with mine in and without mine in. And yeah, I had less symptoms or even like anything with my mouth guard. So it's like, yeah, I definitely have noticed it in my own personal life.
That's great intel. Yeah, Sam, you got anything to weigh in on as a non-helmet wearer generally?
Yeah, I mean, for me as a non-helmet user, my opinion is pretty stupid, to be personally honest. I just don't. I got nothing for us. You know? I would say I hate how I look when I wear it. Unfortunately, it's just like, yeah. But I wore a hockey helmet at Dew Tour last year.
Great.
Yeah, that looked good.
For some reason, I don't mind how the hockey helmet looks. Like compared to the snowboard helmet, I'm like, dude, one looks like a fucking bobblehead, and then the other one looks like somebody's ready. You know, you're ready to go into like fuck some shit up. You know, so like, I don't know. I just after watching the hockey game the other night too, I'm like, I don't know. You know, like, can we slim down that? Like, can we bring the helmet profile in and make it look more like almost sporty? You know,
Ooh,
I get that.
That's
you know, like because like. No offense to anyone wearing a helmet out there, but like I just see footage of me wearing one and I'm like, dude, I look like a fucking Barney. But
Well, it's all about the fit of the helmet too. Like one that fits your head, what you have under, over it. This guy.
yeah, you know, like yeah, that one's perfect.
This one's money.
That one's money. Yeah, I do like that. That is with the ski and snowboard helmets. They don't look aggressive or like
No,
gnarly. The
it
full
should-
face masks do. Then you're like,
Yeah.
this girl's getting after it. But the regular ones just like, look at them. They're looking
Well, and
normal.
if you think about it too, like I don't know, like obviously the way they test these helmets, like hockey to snow is obviously probably way different. But in my head, I'm like, I don't know, these dudes are taking a puck at 80 miles an hour. That's probably
Yeah.
going to be all right to snowboard in, you know? I don't know, like the science behind it all, but yeah.
Well, Kelsey probably does.
I was just gonna say actually.
Kelsey
Yeah.
knows.
I'm like, it's crazy. I learned so much, even just chatting with people about this. But I interviewed the head engineer of the Virginia Tech helmet testing lab.
Yeah.
And yeah, they actually do test the helmets all the same, essentially for how they like scale the safety. But they studied Team US or like the US ski and snowboard teams for impact. And that's how they gathered all of their research. But essentially how they tested it's the same machine, but they altered, like the impact.
Yeah, like
A little bit.
Ski and snowboard helmets for sure are designed more like
Whiplash.
I would imagine that like a hockey helmet's closer to a hard hat.
Yeah.
Which is like just not tested for that amount of speed and force, maybe, but maybe the same. I don't know. Good question.
Well, you could explain MIPS too. That's kind of the general technology in helmets that explodes when you hit.
Yeah. Well, and I learned you want your helmet to explode, essentially. Yeah.
No, for sure. I've definitely broken
Yeah.
a few. So
Yeah, you want it to explode. And I actually do. I have a question. I've always wanted to ask this, and now I'm in the perfect seat for this. Okay. We've always gotten like for the non-helmet, professional snowboarders, it's I either don't like how I look or I don't feel comfortable, or I take very calculated risk, so I don't feel like I need to wear one. Mm-hmm. Have you ever has that ever?
yeah, I mean, obviously, like especially hitting street spots and stuff too. Like random shit can go wrong where you just end up like there's no way to like actually stop from hitting your head because there's so much whiplash, things like that. But yeah, usually if you think you should be wearing a helmet when you're doing something, like you should be wearing it never goes through my head when I'm filming or doing anything. I'm like,
For sure.
I'm here to do this one thing. I'm confident in it. I've thought about it. I set the spot up how I foresee it being the most safe. Here's my exit zones, like things I don't want to go near, stuff like that. But yeah, obviously there's always that surprise moment where you end up hooking or I don't know. End up on some stairs. That's never fun. So, yeah, I don't know. I think if you have any smidge of doubt when you're out there, it's like you probably should wear one. I feel like, but
I'm definitely looser in the woods. I wear a helmet a bunch or all the time now. And I've noticed when I ride in the woods with a helmet on, I'm way looser because you just can bonk your head into everything. And then before without it, I'd be super careful, like ducking. And now I'm just like, oh, do. And so I'm a little looser with a helmet on.
Yeah, it's all a mentality thing. Like, yeah, people are like, I'm overconfident when I wear it, so I don't wear one. There's so many
Here's my theory with the helmets too, because I don't wear one. Let's say I'm hiking a small down rail, right? And I'm going freaking 10 miles an hour into a 12-foot piece of steel. It's pretty soft. Like I don't feel like there's not a lot of speed. There's not a lot of momentum. It's like, I feel like I've been skateboarding my whole life, right? And I've never hit my head once. And I think it's because it's slower. I don't skate bowls. I skate street, and it's like slower and more technical. And the times that I smack my head are generally when I'm hauling ass, right? Like, so when I ride park, to me, that's when you're hitting park jumps and you might over jump the thing by 10 feet. That's when you have a lot of speed, a lot of momentum, a lot of force onto hard pack. And I think like the higher the speed, the more like at risk you are to, dangerous injury, where that's kind of my thought process behind it, where you're like, I'm just kind of like doinking around here. I don't think there's a lot at risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much psychology behind even just why you put one on or you don't put one on, but it's so interesting to, ask people why. But I think at the end of the day, there are helmet police people out there, and I don't think that's the way to combat this at all. No. I think it's going to be a slow burn of a change, and that's okay, and the needle will move. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and that's their own personal decision, so let them live their life. And, if and when it does happen, like that's their decision, and at least just protect yourself.
Yeah, I started wearing a helmet when I had a kid.
Yeah.
Because then it wasn't my life, right? Then before I had a kid, it was like, whatever happens to me, happens to me.
Yeah.
And then I had a kid, and I'm like, well, now I don't want to leave them. No. So it's totally worth wearing a helmet.
For sure. Well, yeah, and it's even like that. I mean, that could be for anybody too, right? Like, it's just like, you have loved ones, just put it on.
For them.
Yeah, for them.